big fight with Joseph Parker coming up this year, confirmed. We know that Tyson Fury has been calling out, wants to fight you. When people see you, they see a composed, articulate, and very with it individual. You don't get caught up in all the nonsense, all the trash talking. Is that because it compromises when you're in the ring and you can't afford to get distracted and lose focus? Why are you so focused in that way and don't engage in the nonsense?
Why don't I engage in the nonsense? Because I'm just straight to the point. If there's an issue, let's talk about it. If there's not an issue, let's move forward, and we're going to box anyway. So I think, you know, the trash talk is always something that's said when I'm in London and you're in a different part of the world. And I don't really let that come into my household where I'm walking around my living room angry because I heard what this guy said. I'm like, how could he say that about me and he's sitting on the beach and I'm here angry. I haven't got time for that. If we're going to address it, let's talk face to face. I think that's more important. And it never seems to kind of come to my face, so I just take it for what it is. It's part of the business. But what matters is these fists connecting with my opponent's jaw and me winning. That's all that matters to me.
And I get why fitness is important to you, but why is it important to you that everybody else is active and healthy and fit?
It's important to me because obviously I'm involved in it as a job, but to everyone else, I think health is wealth. I do believe, not everyone wants to be a boxing champion, but in terms of, what I take from it as well is lifestyle, keeping fit, looking after yourself. These are all important aspects of life as well.
Mm-hmm. Is this accessible to people with disabilities as well?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, there's many ways, that people can get involved. So it's just finding a workout that suits that person's needs. Like maybe they might not have disability, but they've never worked before. They've never actually left the house to go for a walk. Just work home. So you have to cater for each person's individual, and that's what I think is good and important about sports.
Okay. We're in London here now. There's a real horrible epidemic growing now of knife crime amongst young people. You yourself had a time when you were going on a path of criminality and you decided to kind of go away from that and pursue boxing, and you're where you are now. What message would you send out to people in London in particular who are on the verge of committing crime or going down that pathway? What can you do to reach out to people who are, in that situation whereby they're at a crossroads themselves?
It's interesting because, the epidemic that we're facing needs to be addressed. And I think it's one of the main subjects that we need to address in London because it's crazy, it's getting out of hand. Well, it's not getting, it is out of hand because I think it's innocent people who aren't even involved in criminal activities that are getting caught up in these situations. And also, it's a situation where I think people don't realise the effect that it's having on their family. So let's say me and yourself have an issue, we get into an altercation, something detrimental happens where you lose a life or I lose a life. We're looking at it as me and you. What we don't see is that I may have a son, a daughter, a wife, I've got a mother, a father, a cousin, a brother who depend on me, and what we do, we lose that touch because we're so small-minded and we only see it as me and you. So I think that I wish that people can kind of let issues go. Maybe there's underlying issues, I don't know, but I think that people need to think of the bigger picture when they're getting into these situations. And it's a young mind because who you are at 20 will definitely be different to who you are at 40. So be ahead of the game, not behind it. Don't see yourself as who you are today. Try and be 5 steps, 10 steps ahead and see yourself at 40 because you don't want to be going to Hyde Park in the summer with your kids, worrying about the guy that you had issue with when you was 20 years old or 30 years old. It's a young mentality, so people need to kind of start fast tracking and thinking ahead, open their mind.
Over your shoulder, the Olympic Park is just there. Yeah. You were one of the significant figures and one of the successes of the 2012 Olympic and Paralympic Games. The legacy we were told off the back of the Games was that we'd have a healthier, more active, fitter nation. That hasn't quite worked out. How disappointed are you that hasn't quite come to fruition?
I'm not disappointed because I think this country has so much potential. Sometimes it's hard to maximize every aspect of what this country needs to run. But in terms of the objective and the idea is phenomenal, but in terms of executing it's a different story. So I'm here with Lucas A Sport and they're doing their part and I'm doing my part to make that objective a reality. But I think that in terms of like the country's needs and so on and so forth, I think there could be a department that cater for the country's movement, health, attracts people coming here from like tourism, people that are here get involved in what we're doing as a country. So people from other countries are coming here. What's going on? What are they doing as a country? So instead of it being something that just based around the Olympics, it's what we're doing as a country that are keeping people interested. And I think health is always important. The knife crime situation, you know, because that's not good news, that's not good publicity for the country. Health is a bit better publicity for the country. And as I said, Lucas Ada doing it, I do it, I know other athletes that do it. And somehow, it's just who has it in them to kind of take lead and make this this dream or fantasy a real reality and bring the whole country together.
That's the warm-up.
Yeah, so as a role model for many, many young people in particular, what would you say to those people? What would your message be to those people that are on the verge and considering or feel they can't get out of the life they're in? What would you say to them?
I think there's a situation where I think some of the kids that are getting in trouble are facing hard times and a certain extreme of poverty where it's do or die. I need to get ahead. I need what he has. And listen, I'm going to be real. I understand that feeling. I know where they're coming from. But I do think in terms of putting someone's life in danger for the benefit of a phone, to make 100 quid is not the way forward. It's a short-sighted game. As I said, is that I'm telling these kids, let's be 10 steps ahead of the game. That's where we all want to be. We all want to be ahead of the game, not 2 steps behind. Because I said, at 20, you will think differently to who you are at 40. So that's why I'm so interested in telling these kids that we have to be advanced. The world's moving quick. Everyone's moving forward. Like I saw something where it says like the 400th employee of Facebook will make more money than someone trying to, you know, do corruption on the streets. That has a legit job. You know, family members are proud of what they do. They can speak about it at Christmas dinners and birthdays. That's what we need to be doing. And a lot of criminal activities that are happening are amongst people's own community. Like, let's say we all lived in this Olympic Park here and I'm fighting with a gang over this side that live 5 minutes down the road. And I do think that units work better than individuals. And that's even in the animal kingdom and it's even in the human kingdom. You do see groups of people and cultures that work together do progress further in life. So no jealousy, no hate, pure love and support amongst people. And I think that is the way to progress rather than the other way around.
The likes of Klitschko, Pacquiao, and now George Weah in football have all gone into politics.
Correct.
Have you started to think about what you're doing? Because people listen to you and people respond to you.
Do you know what it is with me? I have an interest and I have learned a lot through boxing in terms of like world matters and what matters to me and what matters to the minority, because that's where I've come from, do you know what I'm saying? So I do have a voice, but remember, I sacrificed education to follow a sporting career. So what I say isn't always going to be facts, and my point of view isn't always going to be from an educational standpoint, but it will be from a realistic standpoint, because I didn't go to school, I didn't educate myself, I haven't been in the classroom, I've been out on the streets with people like every day since I was young, because I didn't go down that route. So I do have an interest, but I'm not saying I can run the country, but I do think that I could have a say, have an input, and I do think young, you know, kids coming up in this country should have more of a say of what's going on, because I think that, you know, the country is moving at such a rapid pace that some people who are older that have been in power do need young, creative minds to kind of influence what's happening in world matters. I do believe that.
And just finally, we know you're a proud Brit and you're also very proud of your Nigerian heritage as well. World Cup final this year, England v Nigeria. Who are you backing?
Oh man, woo! England will probably win, man.
Who would you want to win?
Let it be a draw, bro. Like honestly, like this country, I'm born here, I'm raised here, I'm a citizen. You know, without the backing of the Brits, I wouldn't be here speaking to you. Without my heritage and my culture and where I'm from, I wouldn't have the blood and the passion and the desire to achieve. So it's a mixture of both. You know, I actually root for them both just as much. But that's funny that you mentioned that. That would be a real good game. That would be a really good game.